So February 1959, there are 10 hikers that had planned their trip to the Ural Mountains in western Russia. They specifically were looking to trek the northern Ural area. There was a sports group that they were part of, and they had approved the hike, and essentially the certification for them would be granted upon their arrival back once they finished. February, of course, is going to be notoriously really difficult to trek. The temperatures are very extremely low. They get as low as about negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit, negative 40 degrees Celsius, and the weather is really, really unpredictable. They started January 27th from an inhabited settlement area. What had happened was that they took trains and trucks to an area that was basically a settlement, and then from that settlement they then trekked up to the rest of the mountain. So one man eventually had turned back due to having a lot of different medical issues, and it was just kind of made worse by the weather and the exertion, so he turned back. So 9 continued forward. Everything was going pretty well until the weather started getting really, really funky. Once the weather got really bad, they did not realize that they were starting to trek west instead of north. They camped out, and then they then figured out at that point, oh no, we're not on the right path. Let's try and see if we can make up time. So they decided to camp out on the slope of the mountain. Now, it's typically going to be recommended that if you are in really bad weather or something's not going well, trek backwards so that way you can find shelter and kind of weather out the storm, basically. They decided to not trek back where the mountains and the forests were. That would have given them adequate coverage. This turned out to pretty much be the fatal decision that they made. It's possible that they decided to not trek backwards due to the good amount of altitude and progress that they made upward, so they may have decided to just not do it. A telegram was supposed to be sent back to their sports club around February 12th or so. But days go by, they didn't hear anything, and at this point it's pretty normal that you may not hear back from someone within the next couple of days or so of a trek, just because of course the weather can get very crazy. But by February 20th, family members and peers started demanding to the head of the school that they send out a rescue operation. This rescue operation was operated by volunteers and students. Eventually, the Army and police forces with helicopters started to become involved. 6 days later, a tent was found, and the tent was found collapsed with a lot of snow on it. But the weirdest part was that there was a cut from the inside of the tent, and then from there are 9 sets of footprints that are all leaving the tent. Some of the footprints look like they are bare feet. Some of them look like they are socks. Some of them look like they are half shoes, half socks. It's very, very bizarre. Additionally, after this, we do find the first 2 bodies. These 2 bodies are found somewhere down nearby the forest, and they are shown to have no shoes and no clothing on. Okay. Then we have 3 more that are found. They are found closer to the tent, but their bodies are mangled, they're scratched up, body limbs are missing. It's a very, very strange incident. Additionally, some of their clothes are missing. It doesn't quite seem exactly like an animal attack, but that's one of the theories that it could be. By May, the rest of the group is actually found at this point. The snow melted and we find the last 4 bodies, and it is going to be the same situation where it is limited clothing, no, all these scratches, different things like that. There are a lot of different running theories about what could have happened here, one of them being an avalanche, another theory being hypothermia. Hypothermia got to them and affected their thinking and rational skills, and they possibly decided to just leave and abandon the tent. Another theory could be that it was just simply an animal attack that was along with either an avalanche and or hypothermia. Another theory is that infrasound was occurring, which is essentially when the wind is producing a sound that essentially creates panic attacks in humans. This is being studied, and it's been studied for quite some time, so this is an interesting theory as well. And then lastly, we have military. So there was a Soviet Union parachute mine exercise that was right within that particular area. It is a possibility that an explosion could have occurred. It could have scared them out of their sleep. They then cut the tent, and then they all ran trying to get shelter or trying to find cover of some nature. And unfortunately, because of the freezing temperatures, or just because they had to run out without having any ability to grab clothing or shoes or anything like that, that may have been reason why they were found the way that they were found. Either way, this is a really, really interesting event that had occurred. It's a big mystery. There's no answer to this because no one really knows what exactly happened. But let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think this was something that was, just unfortunate series of events, or do you think that something more sinister may have been at play here? Thanks. Let me know what you think. Bye.